Hi there, and welcome to the 20 Minute Moat, a Verloop.io podcast. Today, we're talking to Shourya Saha, a customer support veteran with nearly 20 years of experience under his belt. Shourya currently heads customer support for Flock, the real-time messaging and collaboration platform that boasts over 30,000 companies as its clients. Shourya joins us today to talk about what it's like going up against competitors valued at hundreds of billions of dollars.
So first of all, I'm absolutely not sick and tired of Slack. If anything, it is a validation.
The success Flock has seen with him at the helm.
Last quarter we clocked 95, and this quarter currently we are 96.8.
And the future of B2B customer support automation.
So words like Kaizen, continual improvement, Six Sigma is really hot in our industry.
Let's dive in. Let's start off by having you sort of introduce yourself. Can you tell me more about what it is that you do and where it is that you work?
Sure. So my name is Shourya. I head the global product support for a company called Flock. Flock is in the productivity space. We are a B2B SaaS company. So typically whatever product that Flock comes out with, my team goes ahead and supports customers for that.
Gotcha. How would you describe Flock to someone who does not know what B2B productivity entails or what SaaS is? How do you describe Flock to them?
Currently, we have two offerings in the market. One is a team messenger. Let's say you work in an organization, you need to chat with your fellow team members, you need to pass files, or you need to get on a call, video conferencing, or you need to have a to-do list. All of those things can be done with our Flock messenger. So that's the messenger bit. We also have another product called Titan Email, and that's a professional email. So let's say you go to GoDaddy and get a domain for your name. You also buy a custom email for that. Okay, that's Titan. And so you can have your email hosted on us.
People who've heard of Flock have also heard of a company called Slack, which is a word I'm sure you're sick and tired of hearing by now. But the dynamic that this sets up is very interesting, right? Because at the point where you see Slack, which was until very recently publicly listed, recently got acquired by Salesforce in the $100 billion realm, right? You are very much a smaller company taking on a larger incumbent for a similar market. How do you think customer support plays a role in working against that or in competing in that environment?
Right. Okay. So first of all, I'm absolutely not sick and tired of Slack. If anything, it is a validation of the domain that we are all in, and I think the market is huge, and it's a fair game for everybody. Their success actually gives us a lot of confidence that this is the right path to go through. Having said that, we are a relatively smaller organization for sure, and customer support becomes a huge moat. Flock inherently has a huge customer centricity, like a huge customer focus as well. Certain things that we really excel in is like how fast we can respond to a customer, how the quality of communication that we can have with our customer, and we cater to every single customer of ours. Typically, Slack and Flock runs in freemium model where you can be a free user as well as a paid user depending on what kind of features that you're trying to use. We provide amazing creative support across the platform. It doesn't matter if you're a free customer or not. And that actually inspires people from turning pro from the free part as well. And that's a huge moat. Not just that, that's also a huge instigation for people to turn pro because of the amazing support that they get.
I think when most people think of customer support, they think of sort of traditional call centers. They think of a business, a B2C setup. What kind of tickets do you see being raised at Flock? And how do you think at large B2B support is different from B2C support?
Call centers, of course, is customer support as well, and so is B2B SaaS or whatever we want to call it. So large scale enterprise products are also customer support. We, for one, offer omni-channel support, so anybody can contact us through email, chats, or phone, or even Twitter. The difference between possibly B2C and the kind of questions that we get is largely that because it's a professional product, so there's a lot of admin-related questions that we also get, other than somebody's just asking me, hey, how do I go ahead and send an attachment to somebody, versus an admin may be asking, hey, how can I connect Twitter to Flock? Like somebody tweets my organization and I need to get a notification there. Or how can I ensure that there is security in the platform? Or what can I get my usage statistics, things like that. So these are admin related questions that they will get. So a lot of that happens other than just an end user product per se.
So obviously, since the kind of tickets you raise, differ so greatly. Does it also follow through with the same for, let's say, metrics? What kind of metrics do you track as head of support on a day to day?
Largely, a support organization tracks two things: volume and quality. Volume means like how many tickets can I handle, and quality is typically how did the customer feel about the service that I provided. What we also track here, what is the customer base we can handle. So this is what I told my CEO Bhavin when I got interviewed for Flock, is that the world's best customer support is one where no tickets get raised. Customers don't even need to raise a ticket. So the way we track is like what is the customer base that I can support with my team? And the way we do it is something called ticket deflection. Every week, what we do is check what have been our top call generators. And either we write a documentation so that customers can go and refer to that, or we make recommendations to product management who makes changes in the product so that those tickets do not need to be raised at all. And thankfully, because of the size that we are in, also because of the culture that we are in, the relationship between departments is amazing. So I get a lot of traction from product management itself. So our product keeps getting better and better at a very rapid pace. And my team handles all the documentation on the support portal. So it's very easy for us to push out like proactive documentation so that customers' lives are benefited. So once we have pushed out a document because we were getting a bunch of queries around that, there are two things that we check. One is that the number of queries that are getting raised in subsequent weeks or months, and also Google Analytics, like how many people are actually going and checking the documentation. We try and ensure that we have amazing knowledge base articles with great search engine optimization done so that people can go and just search for it. Or we also work with product management where they put in clues inside the product or links which takes them to certain documentation which doesn't even require them any longer to go ahead and reach for support. So having the same kind of team, we can handle a much larger customer base. So typically what we, in that case, the matrix that we chase is tickets per customer. And then operationally, we chase the same metrics like other organizations as well, like, for example, productivity, customer satisfaction score, or net promoter scores. And yeah, those are the things that we chase.
Do you have any successes that you as a team have seen from a metric standpoint in the metrics that you track?
So if you talk to Bhavin, who's my CEO, he will tell you that the customer satisfaction score should be anything above 99.999%. And that puts us at a very challenging place. But consistently, I think we have always had, since at least January last year, every quarter we have clocked more than 91% is the least that we clocked. And these are amazing enviable scores. I think last quarter we clocked 95, and this quarter currently we are 96.8. So, I mean, the boys and girls do a great job there.
What is the difference between your customer success team and your customer support team?
Customer success is more proactive. Typically, customer support is reactive. When a ticket gets created, we go ahead and answer it. Also, we are spread across the entire spectrum. Customer success managers are named resources. They're dedicated to our customers from that perspective. Customer success also handles a large part of onboarding and ensures that they have constant touch with customers to understand their health. They continuously check those, or they go on quarterly business reviews. And we back them up with whatever support they need from the customer support part of the site.
Is this a setup that you recommend other companies do? Because in most companies, customer success and customer support are sort of merged into one super category.
Okay, so customer success, I think sales is about 500 years old motion. Let's say Dutch East India Company from that time. Marketing is about a century old, let's say Diamonds Are Forever. Customer success is relatively very new in the sense it got started about 15, 16 years ago by Salesforce. The word churn did not exist before that. So it's a very new field. Everybody's still trying to get their hang around it and trying to define things around it. So various organizations have customer success handled differently. Organizations that I have worked on mostly have it as a very distinct department, and that's a good way of doing things. Typically, we do not want a customer success manager solving tickets. Neither do we want to burden customer support representative or trying to keep in touch with every client's environment. So it's a good idea to have them bifurcated, and that's something I would really recommend.
Sort of referring to your past experiences, right? This is in fact your second time building a customer support team for a company at large, right? So with this sort of wealth of experience you've brought in building teams and sort of scaling efforts, I think the big question is, how do you hire for customer support roles, right? How do you quantify, for example, empathy, right? Which I imagine is one of the key determinators in someone's success as either customer success or customer support.
I've been handling teams, managing team for more than 15 years now, and everybody has their learning. So I didn't really know how to interview people initially. And today it is, how do I say this? It's painfully simple. How do I quantify empathy? For example, let's say we generally hire engineering graduates. I ask them to explain some engineering concept. I bring my father to the interview very often. He's 78 years old, and I figuratively bring him into the interview. I just say to them, hey, you know what? Why don't you go ahead and explain career sense multiple access collision detect to my father, who has no understanding of networking. I mean, just like CSMACD is just one of the things, or something like that. And I want to see if they can take something really complex and explain it to someone who has very elementary understanding. And that's a skill I need. Previously, I used to ask questions around the things that they have done. So we do not just necessarily hire from computer science. We also hire from electronics and telecommunication, or any other field which is relatively more on the technical side, engineering, of course. So I used to go back and do my research on those disciplines before I would go for an interview round and stuff. Like, so it could be microcontrollers for an electronics engineer, or it could be a four-stroke engine for a mechanical engineer. What I have started doing now is that the skill that I actually need, other than empathy, the skill that I actually need is research capability. Like, if I give you all the knowledge that is publicly available in the world, can you find me a solution? Which is basically, I give you access to internet. Can you find me a solution? Simple. I was mentioning that if somebody tweets flock, I should get a notification. So I tell them, like, if somebody tweets you, you should have flock on your system and you should get a notification. How do you do that? And that shows me how well their research skills are, how much they can read documentation, and can they do the configuration at their end. I do not ask them things that they have possibly studied for 4 years, for the simple reason is that we also have a lot of rota-based learning, and passing exams is a very different skill than navigating the real world. So I want to see how they navigate through it.
I think 2020 was a difficult year for a lot of people, and it was a difficult year for a variety of different reasons, right? But I think for customer support at large, it was one of those once in a lifetime inflection points, because I'd wager that nothing has changed the very young sort of tenure of customer support over the past 20 years more than I think COVID-19 did, right? Probably more so for a company like Flock, where demand for your product probably saw an increase as opposed to a decrease, like most other industries would have seen, right? Talk to me about some of your challenges that you faced in 2020, either professionally or personally.
Work increased a lot. A lot of people went digital, and a lot of organizations needed collaboration software, which is why they needed Flock. Work suddenly increased, and that's the time we needed to innovate. So all these things that I mentioned generally about search engine optimization, writing documents, and things like that, a lot of it was pushed down our throat. Like, we were on a survival mode. We needed to cater to our customers, and of course we increased the team. Not that we didn't, but then from the time you decide that I want to have this headcount to the time that the person actually enters service delivery, there's a huge lag, and you still have customers to cater around that time. And these are the times. So I'll tell you what, my team is made mostly of young people. They're super talented, super motivated folks. The amount of work that these guys have done is absolutely incredible. And so we look at it as a very lucky phase of our life where we got to work on a lot of new things, right? And these guys with experience as low as a year or even a fresher, they got to work on anything from documentation to suggestion optimization to vendor management. Okay, we are looking at automation vendors and things like that. So professionally, those were the challenges that we have had, and we had to put in a lot of systems and processes in place to ensure that from an operational perspective, we were not letting things fall through the cracks. It was very, very challenging and demanding for all of us. Personally, I think cabin fatigue, Zoom fatigue, boredom, and missing being with your colleagues. I mean, we used to spend 45 hours a week with each other, and suddenly you get to see each other only on camera. So that disconnect was real and painful as well. I have a very close knit team. You learn what is important. You introspect. Your family becomes closer. You worry about, like, then you actually start seeing the benefits of sustainability and environmental focus. You start cooking your own meals. So that's amazing.
obviously, as the pandemic happened, lots of teams moved to a remote first situation, right? Where you would not necessarily meet your team as much as you would. And this would have just a variety of impacts. This could be ranging from, let's say, simple business metrics like productivity, but more sort of personal metrics like just, I don't know, a sense of belonging, possibly a sense of like connect that you have with your colleagues. As a leader of in an organization, right? As a leader in a department, how do you keep your employees motivated? How do you continue to keep them working towards that final goal?
2020 threw a challenge like no other year. I don't think anybody was prepared for it. I would be very pompous and actually lie if I say that I kept my team motivated all by myself. Absolutely not. HR was great help and the team themselves. So we have all evolved through this. And I was definitely not the sole custodian of motivation for the entire team. People didn't have a dedicated space to work out of in their homes. And my team works 24/7. It was difficult if you're staying home and doing night shifts and the light is on while others may be sleeping in the room. So these were real challenges and they have had an impact on how work gets done. Like I can go ahead and very easily point out, hey, why did you not respond to this customer in time? But it is unfair on my part to discount the fact that, like he or she was just not in the right frame of mind at that point in time because, like somebody constantly kept saying that, switch off the lights, and possibly they switch off the lights and the strain in the computer was really painful. I tried to have as much virtual connect as possible with my team individually as well as team. HR did amazing, and then my organization tried to help set everyone's home office with all the office supplies. I think a lot of other organizations have done it, and that's amazing and commendable. And I think it came to a place where it was not like a boss and subordinate anymore. We were in this together, and I practically went and told this team that we are all in this together. So let's just find out ways how we can navigate through these difficult times and come out as a winner. And they yielded. Amazing. Like I can't praise my team enough.
Given that 2020 has been such a radical year for sort of customer support, what do you see the industry, in this case customer support, doing more of and less of in 2021?
Less of, I think, this whole focus on increasing human excellence. I think less of that. I think so. Words like Kaizen, continual improvement, Six Sigma is really hot in our industry, and I think we have milked it a lot already. And of course, there's still room for that, but I think less of that. I think the focus is going to shift into automation, basically deflection and self-serving for customers. Thankfully, Flock was a little ahead in the race of that. But yeah, I mean, typically you would want to empower your customers more uh, and help them find answers easily, maybe in the product itself, or maybe just link away, or deploy automation like automated bots. Even though the technology is practically very nascent, but yeah, I think the investment is largely going to be in automation, and yeah, instead of just like extracting as much efficiency from a human as possible.
Got you. And to that end, I have a sort of long winded question that I'd like to ask you. Now, automation is considered a viable strategy for companies that have a lot of tickets, right? So basically, B2C companies that have a lot of tickets and can't enforce a team large enough to scale with their sort of growth in customers, typically uses technology, in this case automation, to back that up. This is, I suspect, because of reasons like on average your cost per ticket or your value per ticket is fairly low. For B2B companies, your value per ticket is significantly higher. How do you make the trade off between automation and personalized service, especially in a B2B SaaS company?
So the distinction that needs to be made here is like for something which is a very simple and definite answer. A lot of our customers are actually very intelligent. Okay, they're not necessarily looking for a human to feed them back with answers. Okay, so we want to enable that demographic as well. Okay, so a lot of people will actually go and run a search on the internet. We do want to enable them. Okay, we so if they are not enabled, they would feel boxed that okay, I have the choice of only reaching out to support, and that's not enough for me. Okay, we do want to enable this demographic, and that's where the real opportunity lies. Okay, Other than that, I mean, of course, everybody goes ahead and creates tickets, and there's always this. What we typically run is called knowledge-centric support. Uh, we have got top call generators, we've got knowledge-based articles around that. And that not only just empowers our customers, that also empowers our customer service engineers. And that increases your efficiency and your productivity when you have a ready reference frame, you have a ready reference to go to. It cuts down your investigation time, and then you can personalize it for the end user. So knowledge centric support is absolutely key. And the way it works is like, for example, the way it works in my team is that for every unique issue that anyone gets, once they have solved it, they go ahead and create a knowledge base article. And that could be internal till we find that, okay, that is internet ready. And that way, even before the end user gets benefited out of it, the team is constantly repurposing it and increasing efficiency around that.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode of the 20 Minute Moat presented by Verloop.io. We post new episodes, bonus content, and full interviews on our website and social media. Just visit verloop.io/podcast, no more. If you like what you heard, please subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever else you listen from.